Hello, my name is Cristina and welcome to the Reparations show.
Don't want no spare change or handout. I see that everywhere I go. Want you to reach right in your conscience, baby, and give me everything I'm owed. I'm talking about them reparations, reparations. Oh, honey, give me all my money. Reparations, reparations. Give me everything you owe. Reparations. Reparations for all them years of frustrations. This is the freaking Reparations show.
Reparations. I'm about to do a remix on that song. I think we need it. Hi. Thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to the Reparations show. I am your host, Cristina Pitter. And tonight, we are going to be diving into ritual and reclamations. And I have three amazing, beautiful, brilliant guests that have taken the time to join me on this show. So first, we have Jillian Walker. Jillian Walker writes and performs sacred texts for the theater. Her work has taken the form of plays, musicals, lecture, sermon, concert gatherings, and self-reflective space for remembrance and liberation. She draws deeply on her training as a dramaturg, MFA Columbia, Black spiritual wisdom, and the ongoing work of Black feminist thinkers to bring process-driven performance to life. Some of her workings, plural, mind you, include Skinfolk, an American show co-presented by the Bushwick Star and National Black Theater, which still boils my blood that I missed that, but we know brilliance will always come back. And that was a New York Times Critics Pick and a Kilroy's List. Sarah Salt and Songs of Speculation. Jillian is currently co-spiring with the team as a writer-performer on Reconstruction and Soho Rep, where she is the 2020-21 Dow Playwright in Residence.
Yes,
she is a 2020 Lilly Award recipient who also enjoys co-conspiring with the readers of her monthly newsletter, The Free List. Welcome, Jillian. Thank you. Oh, it is so much joy. Bringing into the room, we have Star Busby, a singing, acting, songwriting, composing, and teaching artist who is deeply passionate about human rights, collective healing, and Black liberation. You may have seen Star playing solo shows with her loop station, Francis. I love Francis and I love Star. Or fronting Brooklyn-based experimental soul band, People's Chants. Star has also supported artists such as the Gorillaz. I don't know if you heard of them. Esperanza Spalding. I don't know if you heard of her either. These are amazing people. Ex-ambassadors Kimbra and Alice Smith. Selected appearances include Moby Dick, American Repertoire Theater, Starbuck, Octet, Signature Theater, playing Paula, Where Love Lies Fallow, The Shed, Nia One, Apollo Cafe Live, The Soul Cypher, Black Girl Magic Show, hashtag Black Girl Magic Show, at Jack, composer and performer, Nikki Douglas. Star, get me on this one because I'm going to mispronounce it. Microcosmos? Yes! Okay. I'm not going to pronounce this.
Saudades.
Woo.
Saudades?
Saudades?
You're like reading my full bio, and I'm like, oh, yes.
Listen, I need to lift you up in praise.
Yes.
Because you give it to me, and we own it, and we celebrate it.
Amen.
Ooh, and I butcher names.
Okay. Yeah.
We got The Girl with the Incredible Feeling at Spoleto Festival de Mondi, as well as various concerts and solo shows. Star also enjoys working as an arts educator through organizations such as Carnegie Hall's Lullaby Project. I remember when you got that. Beats for Peace and Exploring the Arts. They are looking forward to continuing the development of Pray with Nikki Douglas and Jerome Ellis at Ars Nova.
Yes.
Oh, all these beautiful people I love.
Yes.
Their music is available via all streaming services and Bandcamp. Welcome, Star. And last, and certainly not least, my babe, Jordana de la Cruz. Jordana de la Cruz is a theater maker and co-director of Jack, an Obie Award-winning performance space meets civic space based in Brooklyn, New York. She creates productions, public programs, and gatherings that question what it means to be free, and more urgently, how are we helping each other achieve this freedom? Why you cut right into my soul, Jordana? This practice is directing, curating, and organizing, serves to spark cross-cultural exchange and expand the concept of community. If you want to know more about Jordana, approach her in person. She would be thrilled to connect with you with a mask. Welcome, Jordana. I just have to take a moment to breathe all of this in because
Same.
Thank you. You are all magnificent, and truly, everyone should be honored to simply be in this space, even if we were just sitting here drinking coffee, wine, whiskey, and doing nothing. But we will have discussions. We will do all those things. So, reparations. I feel like it's an exhaustive topic because we know our worth, what we need, what we deserve, and it feels like it is so far beyond reach sometimes. And when I think about reparations in regards to this country specifically, ooh, child, it's a lot. So I choose to take some of that and refocus it into what can I do with reparations for myself in this moment, and demanding it and seeking it out and holding people accountable for it, holding the nation accountable for it. And I feel like that happens on so many levels. And the one that sticks out to me the most is the topic that we're on, ritual and reclamations. As a queer fat woman of color who traverses many worlds, I feel like reclamations and ritual and reparations come in the form of being able to be free in my body and my storytelling and the communities I create. And that's part of the reason why I know you all. And that is what I wanted to talk about, to see what it strikes in you when you hear the word reparations, and how to bring it within the context of ritual and reclamation of time, space, energy, as being Black folk, as being mixed folk, as being the multifaceted, contradictory, and complicated, beautiful human beings we are in this world. So take that throw up of wording and let's run with it. Ritual. Now, I know that ritual-based work is both in my work, in Star's work, and Jillian's work, and Jordana has directed that work. Thank you, my director, for decolonizing my vagina.
Yes.
And,
Yes. Can we
listen,
just celebrate?
put respect where it is.
Celebrate that for just a minute. The work y'all did on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Star. Like it takes a village. It takes the people. It takes all of it. And I wouldn't be here without you all. And I say that without, I'm going to start crying, and it's not even 10 minutes into this show. I wouldn't be here without you, without those soul connections, without people who can see you, support you, challenge you, call you out on your bullshit. and that's where we're at. So, ritual. Everything from the theatrical to the smallest but significant thing of even just washing your face in the morning. What does ritual spark in you all? And I'm just gonna leave it open and anyone can jump in. No pressure, you breathe in it. We got time. We got time in this reparation show.
I'd say, especially during this time of quarantine, being inside, first, I've discovered that it suits me in a sense. It's nice to be able to make my work in my space where I am safe, and I know that, everything that goes on in it, like I have a say in that. I don't have to like anticipate a micro or macro aggression. I can just make my work and live my life. And kind of like send out my transmissions when I'm when I'm ready. And that kind of works for me. And inside of like realizing that, or on my way to realizing and accepting that, I noticed how necessary intentional ritual is in my life. Because for me, last year was like it was like one of the busiest and like maybe most capitalistically successful years of my life.
Woo! Yeah.
And I appreciate the how it expanded my world. But I kind of got into 2020 and I was like, wait a minute. Like I was like wavering. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. This person that I've become who moves very quickly through everything. And I mean, really the universe set me down first because I broke my toes, like rushing out of the house trying to get to work, and my foot ran into an ottoman and toes broken. So I had to sit down, and then quarantine hit as I was moving. So it was like, you just have to have a seat. And so in having that seat, and like thinking about what is it that actually like nourishes my spirit, what actually prepares me to communicate and communicate effectively in terms of like being able to express myself clearly and accurately, without judgment or without fear of judgment, and what ritual puts me in a space where I hear everything that people are saying to me, where I'm not missing things so that I can respond clearly. And I find that having space for meditation, having space for quiet, having space to just sit inside myself prepares me and makes me available for others in my life in the way that I want to be. So that when I show up and I go somewhere, I know that I'm there, and I know that I'm connecting and communing with people. Because that was one thing that struck me. People started talking to me about work I had done last year, and I didn't remember because I was going so fast.
Yeah.
So much happening. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not me, because I consider myself to be intentional, right? I consider myself to choose my work well and like, have a sincere purpose connected to it. So how could I just like not remember? So ritual
it's so hard.
Yeah, and assures me that I will be present wherever I choose to show up. And that I will be able to, if I hear some bullshit that I need to speak to in the moment, I'm not gonna miss it for sake of like saving face and like moving quickly through the thing. I'll be able to I'll have space within myself to slow down and communicate clearly, to ask first, did I hear what I heard? Did I hear that? What did that mean to you? And how can we proceed? So instead of feeling like I just need to be playing defense all the time, it's more like I clear the fodder, I clear the space so I can just exist and be available. So that's really what ritual what I've been reminded of, especially in this time, about ritual, and just like how deeply important it is for me to be able to not just survive my life, but really enjoy it and thrive within it. And so that the things that I do are rich and are enriching for me as opposed to just pouring out.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you. I receive all of that and immediately think of the phrase filling your cup before you fill others, or tending to your garden before you start handing out vegetables to everyone else. Tend to your own garden first, and I think that's so real and necessary. And I know how easy it is to get caught up in the chaos and want to be everywhere, do everything, or do nothing. And it's that balance is hard to strike. And I know that unless I am taking care of myself, I can't help anyone else. And if I am useless to myself, how the hell am I going to help anyone else? Like, and that's on the macro and the micro. That's in every facet. Yeah, intentional ritual. Would anyone else like to speak on ritual, intentional or not? Oh, I see a smirk. I see a smirk, Jillian.
Yeah.
Bring it on home to me.
What ritual means to me right now is related to pace and practice. And Star, I resonated a lot with what you were saying about quarantine suiting you. What it has allowed me, and also in the larger way that I'm thinking about reparations for myself, it's allowed me to discover or uncover what my true pace is as a being, not dictated by the timeline of our industry and of white supremacy that rules the pace of our industry. And I've been unmapping through a lot of ritual, some of it intentional, some of it not. Like a lot of it has been me actually figuring out just how I like to move through the day, and that the full day is the ritual, you know. So it's not necessarily that I've done an intentional ritual, but that by the end of the day, I've created this, you know, this beautiful, I can like trace the rhythm of it, and it's mine. It doesn't belong to an institution or to a commission or whatever. Like it belongs to me. And so I'm just thinking about what are the ways that all the folks who are reaching out, who are saying, you know, what can we do? How can I help? I'm thinking about what are the ways that I can ask for that and ask people to meet me at my pace. And Star, I love what you said also about transmissions. You know, like just be ready to receive it when it's ready. Like that's, you know.
Just be ready.
Just be ready with all the resources that I will need, and I will need a lot of them. So I think that the other side of that, pace and then practice, for me, it's been a lot of, I've been intentionally making space for spending time with my ancestors and in intentional ritual at my altar, doing a lot of, you know, healing work and prayer and meditation. And in the beginning, it was very challenging because I was bringing all of just all of the ways that I beat myself up about not doing it right or not doing enough. Like, oh, I didn't spend enough time today, or all of those things. I was bringing that to it. And then somebody hit me upside the head. One of my people. And that became, I just saw that this, it is a practice as much as anything else. So that's aligning with my artistic practice, and just remembering that I truly do approach my work and my life as a practice, not as any set of nailed down rules and regulations that don't move and change and need to be different based on the day and based on the fuckery of whatever it is that we're dealing with.
The fuckery. I think
the fuckery of it.
Top 5 words. Truly.
Yeah. So pace and practice. Those are up for me right now.
I appreciate that. I too often have been caught up in the doing it right or not spending enough time, whether I'm aligned with the moon or whether I'm committed to reading a passage of a text each day, like, and I'll fall into those patterns of, well, I didn't do it, so I'm never gonna do it again. It's all garbage. All this work, trash. Like, what part of my nonsense mind, like, really just wants to buckle down in the fuckery and use that as an excuse to not allow myself to be in any which way, whether it is on top of a practice that I'm doing, whether it is taking time to just be easy and tender and like, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to do anything today, especially in the context of this time, and knowing time is a construct and there are many paces of time and place, and
yes,
to allow that gentleness so that we can traverse it in so many ways. Yeah, it's been a huge one. The quarantine, aside from the fact that I've been low-key prepping for the apocalypse my whole life, quarantine was
heard.
Like dead ass though. I remember just gonna crack myself up. I was at the Met doing Kosi, and I come back and I had a show with the Fuck You Review that week where everything started shutting down, and my body just knew. I wasn't afraid. I've never been afraid of this entire point. Just like, no, I know. Cool that I guess it's biological warfare, but all right, we're in it, and just was here. And it's like, yeah, I can be by myself. And I actually think I need to be by myself in multiple ways and reconfigure all the things of the rushing, the pacing of this industry, of simply surviving, how to take that survival mode and just tweak it a little so that you can also thrive, so that it's not emergency mode, so that it's not in this reactionary explosion of emotions, which are all valid, which are all real, because we know that anytime we step outside our door, the world is there, but also the heightened world of who we are and how we walk through it is there. And to remember joy. To keep choosing to remember and cultivate joy in the midst of all of this. I think that's been a part of my ritual too, is remembering even in the darkest depths of a day, finding just a little thing that grounds me back. It's like, yeah, okay, we have this, and I am choosing to stay in this and fight and learn. Oh, all of it. Jordana.
Hey. Yeah, so I just wanted to respond to all the beautiful and powerful things you all have been saying. And I also just wanted to reach out to the Jordanas that are listening. And I think those are the people who are like, have their like notebook and pen out right now and are actually like, oh my God, these creatures are brilliant, and have all these, or just moving through this in such a tender and honest way. And for me, to the Jordanas who are not finding rituals that or pace or practice that work, are not finding through these months and months, are not finding a certain kind of peace or an ability to connect to things they haven't been able to connect to in the past. I think that's a real thing too. And I think just to that's something I struggle a lot with through quarantine, because I am someone who thrives off the fast pace. And so this is kind of those moments that's like, hey, Joe, you don't get to have that. So what are you going to do about it? And then that's where I'd like to be like, well, that's where I sat down and I started really accepting. But it's like, no, that's when I just texted Cristina every day being like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I can handle this. You know? And so I feel like, you know, I just like, that's when my therapist is like, what are your rituals? Like my therapist, because she's this Black brown goddess, asked that of me. And I'm like, I don't really have any. And then she's like, no, they can be as simple as ABC. What are they? And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really have any. Like, I text my mother and I'm like, Ma, what are my rituals? And she's like, you don't really have any. And I'm like, okay. So maybe before this pandemic ends, like that could just solely that. Maybe like find me 1 to 3 things that I could consider rituals. Maybe that's something that would give me, I think, more strength and just sense of tenderness and connection, because I am not doing anything y'all are doing, but I want to so bad. But I want all the Jordanas to know, like, we exist too. I'm here. I get it.
Yes. Yes. Because it's all valid, it's all real. I also want to put a little transparency note in that we have a chat where usually folks who are in the green room can write as other guests are speaking. But it's also my little thing to like, hey, I'm going to write down notes of something that hit, or knowing that Jordana wanted to say a little thing. And we have Kevin tuning in and saying, I'm a Jordana. And that texting is your ritual. And you know what? Yes, it is all of it. And that it's okay. That it's okay. You make what you want of it, and just sit with the otherness, to sit with the anxiety, like I know that the deep pitfall of that, where like I love the slowing down, and where that threshold kind of goes into, I'm gonna slow down and do nothing. And by nothing, I mean, do I eat? What is the water? Showering? I think perhaps I will masturbate and go back to sleep.
What is the water? That's real.
The water?
That's real. That's real.
Yeah.
And let me say as well, you know, I think it can be, I know, I'll speak for myself. I can get into my head where I'm picturing my spiritual friends, you know, in their apartments, like floating around in robes, like, you know, just like living and sure, like sometimes, but I also want to talk about how the slowdown has brought up life is light it up. Here we go.
Like Dave, this is my robe. I'm here for you.
It's brought up tremendous, for me, ancestral terror, like the lack of having so much space to be with myself, to potentially reflect on things. Some days I can't get to it. Like I can't do that every day, and I wouldn't ask that of myself every day, because it's a lot. You know? And truly years. You know, I think we've all been in the city now for some time, so it's just been years of like move.
Yep.
Even in those times when I felt like I wasn't doing anything, I've really been able to see how much I've done. And I'm really proud of everything I've done, but also, wow, like I really haven't, I haven't stopped moving for over a decade.
Ooh.
So there's a lot of, for me, there's a lot of terror that's brought up of like, what do I do now as well?
Yeah. I Star, you
Well, yeah, I mean, I did also want to say, like, I am not successful every day at like being in my spiritually lifted, like, yeah, like, it's some days I like, it's not cute. There are definitely some days. I mean, like, just like a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, I think I was like severely depressed for a while. And I didn't know. Like, I like, for real, I was like, oh yes. I literally like have I like want to go back to some folks and be like, I'm so sorry about how I behaved. I was really depressed. I had no idea. Like, but for real, because
Yeah.
but and even that realization is like painful. I don't know if I necessarily registered as pain as much as it's just like, yikes. It's like when you want to say, I'm mindful. I'm a mindful person. Like, I'm aware. I'm sensitive. I'm tapped in. It's like, and I miss that I was fully depressed. And, not but and I miss this moment inside of my spiritual awareness. Was I still able to move through my life and like bring healing and bring, peace and restoration to certain spaces and energies? Like, sure. And I was depressed because it's like, yeah, it's really allowing and accepting for me, like the position, uh, which I feel is like a part of my soul contracted. And I think everyone is just like being a vessel. It's like, I am yes, I am an energy, an entity unto myself, but there are things that I'm literally just here to like transmit. And that's what I do. Like, I can't, and part of that was like, it's also helped me release a lot of anxiety around like being an artist. It's like, I have to make art. If I'm not making enough art, if I'm not in enough shows, if I'm not showing up at this and that, then like people will stop thinking that I'm an artist. That is complete and utter
bullshit.
white supremacist capitalist bullshit. That is what that is. I am an artist. I make things. That is simply what I do. Even if I was like, I'm not doing that anymore, it would be a lie. Because I create, I sing, I write, I move, I speak. It is just who I am. So there's never going to be a time where I'm not that, because that is simply who I am. Even in my like haziness, because I'm depressed or because I'm distracted, because I'm like deeply anxious and I don't know it because I'm so busy trying to like keep up appearances to my goddamn self in my house.
In my house.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's like, it's me, it's my partner, it's our fur baby. And like, who am I fronting for? What?
Yeah.
Plants here. They're like, ooh.
I got a few friends, but it's like, what, like, why would I allow that in a space that I get to govern? Why would I like take myself through that? Why would I judge myself so deeply? Why would I hurt myself anymore? I don't need to hurt myself.
We've been trained to do that though.
Exactly.
Yep.
That
Exactly.
is the violence of our culture.
Exactly.
That lives in us, and yeah, we live with that.
Yep.
And I think that's an aspect of conversation that I'm hearing a little bit right now, but I do wish I was hearing more of that.
Yes.
Because I'm still hearing a lot of, I mean, all of it is important for us to be talking about, but I just really want us to remember, and I'm not speaking to you all, because I think I'm speaking to whoever's watching. I really want you to remember that those thoughts, those patterns and ways of, what I consider self-negation, the ways that we negate our own being.
Exactly. Yeah.
are not us.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
And that's the thing about, like, if you want to talk about reparations.
Yep. Talk about it.
We are literally asking to be, or it's not even about the ask. It's like reparations need to be in like physical existence. They are a conversation because we're talking about being humane with one another. That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
And I think a big part of the block for a lot of white folks when it comes to reparations, and even some Black folks too, is like, they say all these things, but really what I'm hearing is, I don't treat myself that well. I don't respect myself like that. I don't respect my humanity. So why would I be humane enough? Why would I support this country, which is historically deeply inhumane? Why would I support a shift toward like true humanity and treating people with the respect that they deserve? Why would I do that? I don't do that for myself. I was not taught that was important. I was not taught to place value in taking time and saying, I need more time to be. I need a minute to just exist inside of this before I answer this question, because there's some things flooding me right now. And instead of panicking and throwing something out there to remain relevant, I need a minute. Give me a minute. There is nothing in our culture that tells us that is what we need to do. It does not exist. You're absolutely right, Jillian. And I think for me, it's like I really feel like a re-embrace of ritual, because I feel like there really was a time when I was like in flow. I was broke as shit. And I was in flow.
Yep.
And there was a sincere correlation there. And I'm like, well, what's up with that? Because capitalism. Woo! Supremacy. If you out here getting money, you don't have time to think about yourself like that.
Nope. It's just the money. It's just the money.
And I'm not saying that it's impossible to be well and have your needs met. I'm not saying that those two things can't work together, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. And there is an expectation for you to at least have a season of grinding. But then I'm like, but on the other side of that grinding, who is there? Do I even know who that is?
No.
Do I like them? Who am I? So it's like, in talking about reparations, talking about how do we achieve equity, like the whole conversation is about how do we shift from being deeply inhumane to being humane? How do we build it in ourselves and in our culture to respect each other's and our own humanity? Yep. How do we do that? That is what we're talking about. And I don't mean to oversimplify, like it is complex, it is layered, but honestly, like in my heart of hearts, it's just not. We are talking about how to treat ourselves and treat each other well.
Yep.
That is it. And if you just add up the facts of literal history, I don't understand the confusion.
Stop.
I don't understand the confusion. Just connect the dots, add up all of the coins, and figure it out.
But then the other unfortunate side of that, of like that, that is all true. And the folks who are just deeply rooted in not giving a shit, who see all of it, like, this should happen, and I'm good.
It happened so long ago. Things are different now. You have an Oprah, you have a Beyonce, you have a Jay-Z, you have a...
Aren't you satisfied though? But cool. I'm gonna keep drinking that, terrible toxic water that's through all systems. I'm gonna enjoy, I don't know, the sun burning on my skin because of the environment, but we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about investing in education, in it, like just it's through all, it is, because it is complicated, and there are so many layers to it. But that base truth is like, just to be humane, and the folks who actively choose not to, not out of ignorance, not out of being protected, just like spitefully. And that's the shit that scares me. And not even scared. It just disappoints me. And knowing that will always exist in some form. And so I come right back to, all right, well, what am I reclaiming? Because I refuse to give energy to that kind of fear, that kind of thinking, that kind of hopelessness.
Yeah.
Because fuck that. Just simple. Fuck that. Miss me with that bullshit.
I think there's so much to be said though, like, because it can feel like this very overwhelming problem to fix, right? It's like, I'm aware of this thing, like, know better, do better. I know, so I have to say something, I have to do something, I have to tell people, I have to fix it. But it's like, how about we like kind of zoom in, right? And it's like, how can I, in my Black femme queer life, how can I move people and move myself toward humanity? What does that look like in the way that I communicate with people, especially around my work, people who want things from me? What does that mean? What is the actual exchange rate? What is actually being exchanged? What are you like? What does that mean? And so for me, it's like, okay, because it's like, you want to be like, fuck you, pay me, right? Like for a minute, I was like, I don't give a fuck. Where's my money at? Talk to me in numbers. Okay, where are the coins? And it's like, okay, but I'm also like not a capitalist. I don't actually feel that way. It just felt like something I could hold on to that honestly gave me an out on the painful reality of the fact that I needed to fight for my value, that it wasn't understood, that I needed to explain it to people, that I needed to show that I know how much I'm worth. Let me prove to you that I know that I am worthy. And maybe, hopefully, convince you that I am. So it helped me, like, it gave me an exit out of that. But the real of it is why can't I just come to you and say, like, all right, you want this work from me? Cool. Do I first, before I talk to you, when I talk to me, do I feel like this is serving my highest self? Am I going to come out of the other side of this feeling lifted, feeling more assured of my gifts, feeling more assured of my connection to spirit, to my status as a vessel? Is this going to feed that? Okay, great. Moving forward. What do I need to do this and do it well?
Yes.
What does that take? And that conversation isn't just about us, the individual, being like, well, they said they got X amount of dollars. Let me see if I can move this over. That's not, that's a conversation for all of us.
Yep.
All of us, because you want my work. I understand what my work is. I understand what my labor is. And I know that I need this in order to properly communicate what I have received.
Yep.
I need that. So you need to be in that conversation. And if you can't, because my thing is, it's not like you need to give me all your money.
Sometimes.
But it's not. It's like, I mean, I think it's like, but that is the labor I'm willing to take on in moving people toward their humanity.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, enter this conversation with me, about labor, about what you actually are bringing to the table, what's actually possible and available for you. Like, let's talk about that. Let's be transparent about what's actually available and what can we do here. Because in my mind, if you approach me about my work wanting to do a certain thing, there's a certain likeness there in our vision. There should be, right?
Yes.
We both want to see me create this thing and you want to be a part of it. which is really important for independent artists to think about.
Yep.
They approach you about they want to be a part of what you are already doing.
Yep.
So the value has been stated. It's been stated where the weight is. But we as individuals and as the people just don't think that way. We haven't been trained to think that way. So it's like in these small moments, how do we just blatantly ask for transparency? How do we open up the space to be like, hey, I'm not coming for you. And I'm not saying if you don't have this number, then you can't have me. It's not that. It's like, I just want to know what's actually possible, because we're both curious about what's actually possible here, right? So let's be equals and have this conversation like two human beings and get to where we need to be.
Woo! Ashe, ashe, ashe. Thank you. Where we need
I was talking a lot, but
no, don't ever apologize
about this.
We walk it and we talk it, and it like truly, as with all transparency and knowing and honoring time and space, I was like, yeah, I want to hear all the things, because I know I want to digest and process, and for the people out there who are watching to be able to absorb this this tremendous gift. And I'm fired up. It's amazing. And it's a beautiful transition into Kevin's video that I'm going to introduce him to. But also, I want to take this moment to thank you, Star, because I know you have other commitments to honor. And I want to honor you and your presence and your beauty and your just all of it. Thank you. Thank you for being the light and the fire. And
thank you.
Yes. And I hope everyone got those little pearls of wisdom, and let's make this shift. Shift for ourselves, so that as a people, we can have that awareness, we can have that shift to humanity. And I digress. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring on Kevin R. Free and take it from there. For this week in reparations, we got a little video for you.
Hey, I am really sorry to interrupt this incredible conversation. I am learning a lot. And we're going to bring to you part 3 of our 4-part series of interviews with Rachel Chavkin and the team she's working with for the play Reconstruction, which includes Jillian Walker, who is also on this stream tonight. And thank you to Star Busby, who has to leave. But I just want to say, tonight you're going to hear from Jalen Livingston and Milta Cardona Vega. And one of the things that I learned from them is the importance of process and the importance of bringing our humanity to the table in the process. I've done a lot of working with children, and I used to say to them, you know, when you come here to the rehearsal, you check your attitude at the door. I mean, how many people have said that? Check your attitude at the door, and then we come in and we do the work. But what is actually more important is that we are bringing all of that into the work, that we are bringing our humanity, and that we are respecting one another's humanity and identities as they enter the space. And this video that you're about to see, in this video, Jalen and Milta explain the process of the show Reconstruction. You can roll it now, Morgan.
My name is Milta Vega Cardona. My full name is Milta Zoraida Maria Catalina Vega de Cardona, and for every one of those names, there is a life, an ancestor, an entity that I was blessed to be able to hold. I am an anti-racist organizer, trainer, liberation, and reconnection provider. But who I am is more important because it comes out of whose I am. I am the daughter of Luis Alberto Vega and Natividad Cardona, 2 Puerto Rican people that came here in the 50s through one of the forced migrations. And I was also blessed to have my father, Luis Alberto Vega, as my the entity that provided for me the base for how I would live my life as an anti-racist. I do this work because I believe in us. I do this work because it is not just my job, it is my vocation. And all the education, all the smart camps I went to, all the intricate socialization that I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for, truly were a base so that I could undo what was done during that process through my race analysis. I based that analysis on number one, gentleness, on two, respect, on three, creating a liberated zone, and on four, understanding that I am accountable. I am accountable to my community. I am accountable to the institutions that come into play, and that cross accountability is what keeps us honest.
Hello. Hi, Kevin. Hi, everyone watching. My name is Jalen Livingston. I am a Louisiana-raised artist and theater maker and storyteller living here in New York. I've been in New York for about 4 years. I work on Broadway as the resident director over at Tina, the Tina Turner musical. I'm a freelance writer and director and maker of things, and also a frequent collaborator of one Rachel Chafkin, who work I admire, but whose heart I am equally, if not more, inspired by. I am the co-director of Reconstruction with Rachel's company, The Team, and working there and working within that company has really given my work the spine and integrity that I am always shooting for. So I'm happy to be here.
So, hey everybody, thank you so much for coming on to the Reparations show. I specifically want to talk about Reconstruction and how take me through the very first day of rehearsal for Reconstruction. I want to know exactly what the first day of rehearsal is like with the three of you.
I can jump in. Also just to preface to say, like, the work of trying to decolonize a rehearsal room is a moving target, right? Because right when you feel like, oh, we've hit that marker, the light of that uncovers a shadow somewhere else, right? And so thinking 2 years back to our first like meeting at a table, almost seems as if like it's not even worth talking about because of all the work we've done since. But putting myself in that room and putting my imagination back in that place, we all came in, and it was the first time that I think I had ever been in a room with an ensemble that large. First of all, it was just like massive amounts of people in the room charged to tell a story. And just by pure numbers, we're already getting a certain diversity of thought that we wouldn't have had with maybe the team's, traditional makeup. And I think something that, we've really committed to is that there cannot be one representation of a thing in a room at a time, because the power imbalance is just too great. And so from day one, we never had to overcome really that power imbalance, which was already felt radical to me, coming from spaces that weren't even beginning to have this conversation. But then something that I had never seen before was then the caller of the meeting, Rachel, say, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it could be a show or a thing that's kind of about this, which at that time was about what if, I think the prompt was, what if the story of Gone with the Wind was told today? And with the people who made up that room, what would that mean for that story? What it would mean if we looked at it as a Confederate monument and told it from that point of view, which I think is very, 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 very interesting place to start. But it was pitched with the caveat that or it's not about that at all. And to so immediately give over that kind of imaginative power to the room, knowing what the room looked like, implicates the process in a certain kind of way. It says that this is going to not be black and white. No pun intended. This is not going to be a typical process. This is going to be messy. This is going to be bumpy, and it's going to be very, very slow. And so I think I'll start there by just the understanding that the room and the makeup is going to be radically different, and it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. That what was really pitched to us is a process, and that process was pitched as strongly as, and maybe more so than what the project could be itself.
I want to know what happened when Milta joined the group and started working with everybody.
Yeah.
So I walked into this room and there were all these bodies that had all this high vibration going on, you know, and I mean, I'm an orator. I speak for a living. And when I walked into that room, I felt my stomach. I felt it right here. I felt it in my belly. I felt, this is real. These people are real. They were all there. They were present. It was really more than welcoming. I felt like I stepped into the space that had been created so that I could do what I was prayed up to do. What occurred as I provided my race analysis was that later on I would hear my own words coming out of, the members of Reconstruction, and then the exploration of those words as they dug deeper into them and embodied them. One of the concepts that I've brought into race analysis is the concept of those that have come to be known as white. Because that's, if we don't have history, then we think that this has always been, so it's got to always be. But if there is a beginning, there's been a middle, then we can end this.
Yes.
Right?
Come on.
So, and that's where we're at. We're at the ending part. How long that's going to take, I can't tell you, but I intend to be around, right?
Milta, when we were talking before, you mentioned having people enter a space, and I think you were talking about in our Zoom world, by retyping their names as how they identify racially.
Because once you have been identified based on your race, you are now entering the room as that race. And for us as people of color, and Kevin, you know this, we enter not only as that race, but we are representing every other person that is under that, race concept or title. So in this medium, in order to move from the two-dimensional to the three-dimensional, I ask people to put in their, what they have been anointed with in the race construct, so that we are clear who is holding the power, even though I'm the expert. Because in any given situation, Kevin, if Rachel starts crying and sucks up all the oxygen in the room, this shit gets closed down. All right. And all she has to say is, I don't feel safe. There are two sentences that trigger white supremacy across every institution. I don't feel safe. Usually that comes from a white woman, and from any white person that says a black man did it. And all that we know goes out the window, and what we know historically as white supremacy goes into place. And we know this because we have it documented.
Yes.
So.
When we talked before, thank you, Milta. When we talked before, you said something that was very interesting to me that I will mention, and then I want to go back to talking about the power in the room because of our racial identities. You said something about how in your room, we all get to know, we allow ourselves to know what we know.
Right.
And so that goes back to what you just said about a Black man did it and I don't feel safe. Because what that does is that changes the experience
That's right.
that everyone has already had in the room.
That's right.
You said I don't feel safe, but I experienced something else completely.
That's right.
Now the thing that I know about this rehearsal process, I don't actually know anymore. You are gaslighting me because you don't feel safe or because a Black man did it.
That's right. That's
right. It's very interesting to me. Rachel and Jalen, I want to know people knowing what they know and in terms of who they are in the room as a racial identity. How has that changed the way you work, and how has that changed the work in the room?
Something that I would say, one, to the things that Milta said, those two sentences are spells. And it's like understanding that there is a dark magic to saying.
Yes.
Say it and something happens, you know? And then to your point of like, oh, now I don't know what I thought I knew now. I think at the center of the piece that we're making is if you can ever know, right? The impossible question, which is, can you ever be on the same page? That even before the spell is cast, you know, where are we there? Are we under some kind of an illusion of intimacy or illusion of understanding? And I think that that's kind of like central to a lot of the questions that have come up.
It's over.
We just cut off. It's like, oh, tune in next week to get the rest.
I forgot that it had an abrupt ending so that I could get the fourth video for next week. And here I'm about to text you. I was right on my phone texting you.
I stay ready.
Yes, stay ready for a text from me. Listen, Cristina, I want to thank you for hosting the show this week. The spirits that you brought into the room are stretching me, teaching me, and filling me with love, for real. Are we bringing Jordana and Jillian back in?
Hold on.
Because Jordana can tell a knock joke.
Yes.
I know she wants you to. Who's there?
Jordana.
Jordana who?
Jordana, you want to come back inside? Back inside into this little reparations room?
Jordana!
Yes.
Hi.
Listen, I don't belong in the room with you all. And I am just so happy to be here with you. You're all so smart and so beautiful. And you just were preaching so many words with Star too. I just feel so grateful to have had your brains on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep talking. I'm just gonna watch.
Yep.
Okay.
I said you better stay on. I'm not kicking you off. I like the four windows, but also I liked when everyone was crammed into.
Yeah.
Oh man, so much. First of all, all of this and that video, and I'm so excited because that was the third one, right?
That was the third one. There's a fourth one. I thought that it was only going to be two, but Milta is so incredible and so smart, and I couldn't not. And my conversation with Rachel was an hour, and it was really, really a beautiful, transparent conversation. And so we're stretching it out to 4 weeks.
We need it. We need to have all of it. Amazing.
Well, I think I was glad. At first I thought your conversation is so good. I shouldn't have rolled that video. But as you were talking, I was thinking there are so many things that you talked about that relate to what they talked about in the video in terms of process, in terms of knowing that you're making a thing and it's going to take as long as it takes to make it.
Yes.
And there isn't a finish line other than when you say you're finished.
Precisely. And I knew, having watched the earlier one that you did with Rachel, it's like, I know, of course. And we flow in and out, knowing that this is not the end all be all of this conversation, of these meeting of the minds. It's to be able to be grateful and present in this moment and know that more will come when we need to. And and then honoring time in all ways.
And I have a question for all three of you, if you don't mind me asking before the show ends. Are you very slowly working on anything? Are you marinating on any topics?
Yeah.
In your artistic life?
Ooh, what was that ding?
That somebody got a text. It wasn't me. Nobody's texting me.
I'll just jump in and say, so for me, I am chewing on a lot of things for Jack, where I'm the co-director. We really want to fill any gaps that are left. So all these artists and all these organizations are doing really amazing things online. And so instead of doing that again, I'm far more interested in seeing whose voices aren't being amplified yet and joining and talking with them. And so that's something that I'm currently figuring out. And it's I very much am like a creator. That's what I do. I have like the light bulb go off all the time. I'm like, got it. Here's what we're going to do. What do you think? And that's not happening right now. So I was telling someone, if I was a writer, this would definitely be like writer's block. Because I keep waiting for this like brilliant idea that's going to connect us all. And we're all going to it's going to be so good. And it hasn't happened. So I'm just trying to be really patient for myself and listen to you all. So everyone listening right now, message me. Whatever. Because I feel like what I'm doing right now is trying to open myself up and hear what you need, what you're still missing, what you want. Because I don't know that yet. And I feel like I can't serve you, which is what I want to do until you help me out. So
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thanks, Jordana. I think some people will reach out to you now that we've put your social media handle on the thing, on the screen. And also, I think that it will come to you when it comes to you. You know, that when all the shutdown happened, I got really busy doing audiobooks, which is a thing I've done for 20 years, but not to this degree. And I was so busy doing them. And then I was directing things and acting in things. And it's been very, very busy for me during the pandemic. And next week, all I have is audiobooks. And it used to be, before the shutdown, it used to be going into a booth and turning off a light and staring at a computer and reading other people's words was a reprieve from the rat race. I got to turn off my phone and do that. And I could just say, oh, I've been in the booth all day. I'm sorry I didn't respond very quickly to your text or to your email. And that was really great. And it got so that because I was on the wheel when it all started, I haven't been in that space. But next week, I get to be in my booth all week long. And I'm so looking forward to turning off my phone and just doing that kind of storytelling. And tonight's show blessed me in that way, because I thought, this is a thing that I can tell these stories in my sleep, and I can do this. And so what I say to you in response to your waiting for the light bulb to go off and for people to tell you what they need, once they tell you what they need, there's still going to be a whole process before you can provide what they need,
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you for making that space for those folks. Jillian, what about you?
Well, first I want to say thank you, because I needed all of you and this space, and just an ever-flowing cup of gratitude. I mean, the slowing down is real, and being able to go back to poetry and the little part of me that's like, music, make music. I don't play a goddamn instrument. But
you are the instrument, Cristina.
I am. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I hear music in my head constantly, and I kind of went through a bit of this in developing Decolonizing My Vagina with Jordana and Star, going, okay, I hear this. How can Frances? All right, what are we doing? And recently, within the last year, 2 years, Serena Miller has been accompanying me and helping me form this new piece, Cracking Open, and we've been talking about a little EP, and so your boo might be making a little EP. Okay, she wants to make the music, she wants to do the songs, and I'm gonna find the folks who will be like, "Hi, can you? All right, this is guitar. Can you do that? Cool. La di di di, keyboard. You great, and it's gonna be great."
Make that music.
Gonna make that music.
Yeah, I've also been reconnecting with music during this time, and working on reconstruction with Rachel and Jalen and Milta and the rest of the crew. We've had a couple of Zoom retreats together. Because we were actually supposed to go to Alabama for 3 weeks to do a big bulk of writing last month, and obviously that didn't happen. So we decided that we would try to do it, part of it, over Zoom. So I've been doing those things, and then also working on a commission for Soho Rep, or with Soho Rep rather. So there's, like you, Kevin, I've actually been quite busy in terms of work. But what I've also learned about myself is that even in moments where I don't think anything is happening, there's a lot always that's going on. So I'm in the process of reclaiming work and how we define work and what work is. And for a while, I really rejected. I had to go through a process of rejecting it altogether. Like, I don't want to think of it as work. I'm detaching from this label. And sometimes I still struggle with that, but what I've come to consider this body of work that I'm doing is really thinking of it all as a working. So I'm always working. It's always in process. There's always threads that are being woven in and out of the tapestry of this life. And some of those are things that will become projects that are, crystallized in a moment that other people will see. And some of them are just for me or for spirit, it's all sort of, but that process has continued. And I've also had a lot of days where I've really tried to just stare at the ceiling and and just see what that feels like.
Yeah. I'm not good at that. I'm like Jordana.
I'm not good at it either, honestly. I had an astrology reading, and the astrologer was like, I'm just gonna say maybe try like 10 minutes a day. And I literally set a timer and I just go for 10 minutes and then I'm like, is it over? but she told me because of what's in my birth chart, she said it would be good for me. So I've been trying.
Listen, I'm a cook. I like to cook, and I was cooking when we had our first check-in at 7:00.
That okra. I
made some delicious okra.
Oh, you made that?
Oh yeah, yes.
Kevin.
You don't know me, but this is who I am.
Kevin, free.
when I feel like I can't handle a lot of stuff, I come in the kitchen and I chop some onions and some garlic and figure out what I can make with it. And I've been trying to work my way through Mother Jaffrey's a couple of her cookbooks, and her okra recipe is really quite fantastic. And I had it before we started the show. Anyway, let's not talk about my food no more.
I want to talk food. I want to talk all of it. And
I forgot to say also that the free list, this is my monthly newsletter, seriously is like my new favorite project.
Yes.
So
tell us about the free list.
It's so I actually got off of Facebook because I was just too stressed. But I had so much that I wanted to say still. And it's a space, so it's an amalgamation every month of what I'm theorizing about. A lot of what we've talked about today having to do with reclamation and really thinking about what is free, what does it mean to be free. So it's sometimes it's me writing about gentrification and sometimes it's, pictures and sounds and a collage of things. So it's just great. I love it. So anybody who wants to join the free list, I'm happy to have you.
I think I want to join.
Yes.
It's a dope list. And
do I just go to your website? How do we?
It's right on the website if you go there, and also it's in the link of my Instagram as well. So you can also sign up there too.
Beautiful.
Amazing. My loves. Thank you. I want to offer up, please, my absolute pleasure. I want to offer up any last words, tokens, gestures, sounds, colors, smells that you might be holding that you want to put in this space before we depart. And I'm flooded with green, beautiful bright yellows. Thank you, Oshun, and the smell of the sea. And so I give that to you all. I like creating little rituals and ritual of what do we want to offer and little tokens before we leave.
I will offer, based on what Milta said about safety in a room. I no longer tell people to stay safe, which is what people have been saying during this pandemic. Stay safe. I now say to people, stay liberated. To you, stay liberated.
Yes. Thank you. Amazing. Oh.
I'll just say to everyone, be patient and be tender.
Thank you. Yep. Oh.
I offer that purple, that star that was framing Star's face, just that deep purple, which is also like resonating with your shirt, Kevin. And yes, and also something that Milta brought into Reconstruction. I believe it was her. It might have been someone else too, but it comes from Adrienne Marie Brown, which is moving at the speed of trust.
Oh.
Yeah, moving at the speed of trust.
Oh my
and
Lord.
That's tenderness, and that's patience, and that is
Yeah.
all the damn things. Oof. And that's the sea. That's that salt. That's that cleansing. Eso todo. Oh man! And when she was saying her name, I said, yes. Yep. Done. Thank you all so much. I'm going to gently guide you back to the green room as I close out this show. And I am going to say goodnight to all you wonderful, beautiful people who have tuned in. This has been the Reparations Show. I want to thank Kevin R. Free, of course. Inez of Frigid, New York, who is hosting this with us. Morgan, who has been our screen manager. Zoe, our wonderful production assistant. Joey, who's running those videos and sound. And to let you know to tune in next week for the Reparations show. It's going to be hosted by Tanya Pinkins. And yeah, this has been a beautiful and necessary time to share space and thought and liberation with you all. So stay liberated, my friends. Thank you so much. Good night.